gone. I was going to be happy as hell for him. I would. But the thought of losing him is like, I just had this feeling of like I was going to be walking around without any pants on, you know. So I would say that not having AG, there is a comfort level. So I think that pretty much says it all.
And this is why we are so excited for Hard Knocks. That man right there. D'Angelo, please kick us off and tell me which assistant coach is going to raise their profile in 2022.
You know, I think about Aaron Glenn, how much I love AG. But I'm going to stay right there on that Detroit staff, and it's the young DB coach, Aubrey Pleasant. You know, a guy I know personally, was with him in Washington. He was with Jalen Ramsey and the Rams for a little bit before he, you know, ventured over to the Detroit Lions. But just a hell of a coach with a story to tell, understands offenses, defenses, started out on the offensive side of the football, was a college safety, so a dude who almost made it to the National Football League. So, I mean, just a competitive dude who understands how to motivate men. I mean, just a dude that I hold near and dear to my heart. He was part of my success in the National Football League. And Jalen Ramsey can attest to this. I've heard Jalen mention Aubrey several times about how dynamic of a football coach he is. He'll be a head coach in no time. Watch what I say.
I have no doubt that Aubrey Pleasant and Aaron Glenn will be interviewed for head coaching jobs yet again, as they both were this previous offseason. A guy who hasn't gotten a lot of buzz is coming off a Super Bowl season as the offensive coordinator of the Cincinnati Bengals. Brian Callahan is my pick. Yes, that's Bill Callahan's son, the old offensive line wizard and impresario. Brian, very quietly, has paid his dues in this league. He is now more than a decade into coaching, was with the Broncos when Peyton Manning got there, and then when Zach Taylor got the gig in Cincinnati, he took Brian with him. I think what Cincinnati did on offense last year is very, very overlooked when we talk about the offensive genius of McVay and Shanahan and, of course, Andy Reid. But gosh, to get what they got out of that young quarterback and that young team, Zach Taylor is, of course, an offensive head coach, but Brian Callahan is the offensive coordinator and showed a lot of growth last season. I think the Bengals are only going to get better next year on offense. Brian Callahan, I know we're very often trying to identify the next great offensive mind. He might be right under our nose, a guy that took his team to the Super Bowl last year.
Well, you talk about somebody who's right underneath our nose, at least for Rachel and me, is a guy who works across the street at SoFi Stadium, Joe Lombardi. And again, as you said, Peter, like they love to identify these young coordinators who are coaching up superstar quarterbacks. And Joe Lombardi has coached Matthew Stafford, Drew Brees, and is now working with Justin Herbert, who last season took a huge leap, throwing for, 5,000 yards, close to 40 touchdowns. And, oh, by the way, I don't know why I have to point this out. His last name's Lombardi. He's got the last name of the trophy.
Oh, by the way.
Why is he not getting more run? That just seems insane to me.